like
Hello,
a lot of
YouTube
people my
audience. Check out what
age,
Tim
I
Scott
learned
is saying about Bitcoin.
From my daughter and my now son-in-law, and it made absolutely no sense to me. The idea of funny internet money. But
The magic internet money. I'll try not to
at the
talk too
Satoshi
much so you can listen.
Roundtable. And I was not there to speak about Bitcoin, thank goodness, because I really didn't know that much about it in 2017. But it was a year when there was a fascinating discussion at the Satoshi Roundtable. So I sort of went down the rabbit hole, learned a lot about Bitcoin, and then when I came back to the US Senate, had an area of exposure to a subject that nobody else in the Senate really knew anything about. So it sort of gave me a leg up, and educating people about Bitcoin from the US Senate to your hometown is a big challenge for all of us, especially now that we're crying for clear regulatory
Hi, everyone just tuning in.
I want to get to.
We're watching Senator Tim
you
Scott.
Well, thank God for your leadership in the Senate on Bitcoin. I will say without any question, I got here, let's give her a round of applause. I mean, literally. When you're the only senator out of 100 with a clue, you have an immense responsibility, and you took it on your shoulders, and you brought a team together, including me. I actually became a huge fan because I grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty. And I always wondered, how do we get opportunity back to the poorest Americans, to marginalized communities? And I got to say, without any question, having people who believe in your future is significant. And the concept of democratization brought me to the conversation. The ability, I wanted to be a preacher at one time. I'm going to move around a little bit, so forgive me for moving some.
Okay.
The ability to bring resources and opportunities and access to the marketplace to the people who need it.
The cameraman right now is like,
That's what Bitcoin is about. That's what this is about. Giving the average American a chance to make their own decisions at home. No matter where you live,
he's passionate.
on the mountaintop or
This
with
dude
me
is
in the valleys low, having a chance to democratize our financial footprint is an absolutely essential part of achieving the American dream. And whatever we can do, wherever we can do it, let's get it done. Let's get it done right now.
Great. So
wow.
you got me standing.
What a passionate, great speech, guys.
Common sense. And you've been leading us on this really important conversation, but the real challenge that we've seen in Congress, there are serious people in the way of making sure that American innovation is leading the globe in innovation. And we have to get rid of the folks who are in the way.
Yeah, and the folks that are in the way, in large part, are on the Senate Banking Committee.
Yes.
And here's the good news.
Funny how that works, huh?
Republicans are going to be in the majority next year, and Senator Tim Scott is going to be the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee.
Yo, guys, this is huge for us. Check out his emotional, passionate speech. This is very great news for crypto if this is the case.
Let us pray. As the chairman of the banking committee, the one thing I will absolutely guarantee will be done is watching your legislation get a vote, pass the banking committee, and we're going to fight to make it a law in the United States of America, setting Bitcoin free here at home. Free at last. Free at last.
Yo, yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Free at last.
Yes, sir. I didn't know Tim Scott loved Bitcoin so much.
The nexus between Senator Tim Scott's core values and his appreciation for Bitcoin is that it's freedom money. It gives individuals their sovereignty.
Yes.
From the poorest person to Michael Saylor.
100%. Well, Cynthia, Michael Saylor ain't the poorest person. You can say amen to that. But, here's what I can tell you, though. We need to make sure on our committee, the banking committee, that we create the kind of rules of the road that are very wide. We need a wide pathway for Bitcoin to be successful here at home. And we need to make sure that things like taxation and regulation does not stifle innovation, is what you taught me. So we have to bring the hurdles down.
Yes, he gets it.
So that anywhere in America,
This is giving me Vivek vibes.
do not have to climb a mountain to step over something.
Yeah.
I think Vivek's
Let's
speech
make
is
it
going to be
easy.
similar to this
One of the
kind of
challenges that
concept.
we see at the SEC with Chairman Gensler, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we have the same affection for the same people. This is good. This is good.
What a great
We have
speech.
to hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more.
No more, no more, no more, no more. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Tim.
So the problem we're having,
Yeah, explain what I just said.
you have not been in the majority.
He's not a fan of
what comes
Gary
out
Gensler, chair of the
banking
SEC.
committee. And the banking committee has jurisdiction over the Securities Exchange Commission.
Yes.
So we've been unable to move the needle. They're trying to hoard the definition of what is a commodity versus what is a security, and they're regulating by enforcement action, not by clear rules. We're going to make the rules.
Yes.
We're going to make the rules.
Yes. And the good news, Cynthia, one of the things we're going to have to do as we make the rules of the road, a light touch is so important. The one thing you don't want to do in the youth of this industry is to be oppressive. We don't need a large paternalistic hand saying to people who grew up like I did, poor little people, you're too dumb to make your own financial decisions.
Yeah.
That to me is condescending.
Absolutely.
It is paternalistic, and
Yeah.
it is dead wrong.
Yep.
We need to make sure
He is
that the
awesome. What an
rules that we
awesome speech.
create gives a great pathway for individuals to make their decisions. I believe that you can make your best decisions about your financial future. And we need to make sure that the regulatory environment under the next president of the United States, Donald Trump,
Yep. Yes, sir.
is a regulatory environment that understands liberty and freedom are inseparable. And money is the necessary component to experience that freedom. So we want people, whether it's they love their dollars or they love their digital assets, we want them in charge of making their decisions.
Absolutely.
And to the extent that we do that, we set people free to be autonomous, making your decisions. That's what makes this thing so exciting, because we're so close to the finish line.
So what's so great, as you can see, about Senator Tim Scott becoming the chairman of the Banking Committee is he believes in we the people, that we created the federal government, not vice versa,
Yes.
and that the people should be telling us what to do. So we've been meeting while we've been in town here in Nashville with various individuals who are helping us understand how to right-size statutes and how to right-size regulations. One of the problems right now is that we don't have a clear regulatory framework in statute that can govern what is a commodity, what is a security, and what kind of rules need to be complied with in order to protect
Yeah, there has
consumers,
not
but
been
not
any
stifle
really
growth.
regulatory clarity
That's
until
the
really
sweet spot
recently.
we're looking for. We don't want to stifle growth, but we want to make sure that where appropriate, consumer disclosure is made available. And frequently that is the cut between securities and commodities.
100%. Well, that kind of disclosure is just called transparency. And frankly, what was done so well here is creating an environment where people have great confidence because you have a public ledger on the blockchain. So here's what we know without any questions, that the process itself has been designed around safety and security.
Yes,
Let's just not get in the way of what's working.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So the innovations of Bitcoin are now becoming more clear in the U.S. Senate. And it's also becoming more clear who wants to protect the innovation and who wants to regulate it. And what we're seeing in this administration is that people who really believe in government, the government knows best, the government should control the money, because if government controls the money, they control us.
Yes.
And so
What a
resistance
fantastic speech.
in this administration is to letting go of power. And so we need to take over the Department of Treasury, the Federal Reserve, the SEC, the CFTC, the OCC, and
Yes,
And
sir.
the FDIC.
and
Yes.
the FDIC, and which empowers people to continue to innovate. And the innovation absolutely must occur in this country. So that was why
Yes.
the Republican Party, at the direction of
Edward
Donald
Snowden
Trump,
in 1 minute. He's
put
speaking in
into
1
the
minute, guys.
Republican platform that we're not having a CBDC. We're
No.
a really smart thing. That individual wallets will be protected as an individual sovereign asset.
Gotta clap for that. I hope you're clapping at home.
That Bitcoin mining and the Bitcoin universe needs to be centered in the United States of America.
I love it.
And to make sure that is a reality, we're on the finance committee. The one thing we need to make sure that does not happen is that the mining process takes a lot of energy. Under the Biden administration, they want to put on an excise tax of 30%.
Yeah.
That devastates. We know that a light touch is a whole lot
Could
less
you imagine
than
if that were the
30%.
case?
Let's
Send
let the
all the
industry
Bitcoin out of the
flow.
U.S.
Yep.
And
Yeah, way to
we are working
destroy a
towards that
country.
process, especially here in Tennessee, where the Tennessee Valley Authority, nuclear energy is a part of the solution
Yep.
going forward.
Yeah. The energy mix is really important. It's also important, Senator Scott, that we have that regulatory framework.
Yes.
So when you, and as Senator Scott said, he's also on the Finance Committee. So next year, we'll be crafting a new tax policy because the current tax policy expires. So we not only have the future chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, but a
Whoa.
member of the all-important Tax Writing Committee in the U.S. Senate with us today. And this is your first Bitcoin conference,
Listen,
right?
this is my first Bitcoin conference, and I gotta say, I am not just stunned, I am incredibly excited that you got 20,000
Love to hear it.
mostly red-blooded Americans
Yeah.
showing up, shouting out, and taking control of their financial futures.
That's-
That is amazing. People have flown all across the world, though. I've met
Exactly.
folks from all across the world here.
Exactly.
It's kind of fun. It's
Well,
kinda
and
fun.
the people that are here from
He's having
elsewhere
so
in the
much fun, you
world
can tell.
Also value that individual sovereignty, that personal freedom, and having your own form of money that you choose, that you control, without somebody taking a slice out of the transaction every time it's moved from one holder to the next holder to the next full holder is important. So you look at, for example, El Salvador. There are a lot of people here in the United States working that send remittance monies to El Salvador. They can get out a smartphone, send it to their parents. In El Salvador, the parent doesn't even have to go to Western Union,
Whoa.
and so they don't even have to put their health at risk by perhaps getting robbed en route. So this is freedom money all over the world.
100%. But what you said is so important. I don't want to miss that at all. That, in fact, this is the safest.
I think Edward Snowden is
way
also speaking right now.
transfer
But I mean, this is
resources
going
to
amazingly
your
so.
loved ones in other parts of the world, and the cheapest way to
Absolutely.
transfer those resources.
Absolutely. The banks call it friction. That's their way of saying, I get my piece of the pie.
Yeah.
You know, Senator Scott, you invented opportunity zones.
Yes.
So your And let's do applaud that. It was a fabulous idea. Can you equate your ideas for creating opportunity zones to Bitcoin?
And one of the things I've said very often, Cynthia, Senator Lummis.
Cynthia's good.
He's a goofball.
Right,
Dude, I loved him, Scott.
I was getting ready to say that, darn it.
He's such a goofball.
One of the things that I think about is that the good
And he's just
Lord
such a
and
good
the
guy.
people of South Carolina have given me an opportunity to serve the American people. As a kid looking for opportunity, I think it's my responsibility to never forget where you're from.
Yeah.
And never forgetting where you're from means creating the kind of legislation and vehicles that bring opportunities everywhere. Opportunity zones was designed
give me
with
one sec, guys.
why in mind. The stronger your why, the easier your what, the more clear your how to get things done. And opportunity zones is bringing back over $70 billion to fight poverty in the poorest areas without using a single federal dollar.
Yeah.
All private dollars, all private incentives, letting people make their own decisions. Bitcoin allows for people in the private sector, unhindered by government, to make their own decisions, to make investment decisions. You know, a few years ago, my nephew started educating me about Bitcoin. And about 2 weeks from now, he passes his test to be a doctor.
Wow.
But what he's been telling me is, Uncle Timmy, diversify.
Yeah.
It's called financial literacy. Even at 58 years old, I'm still becoming more financially literate. Opportunity Zones simply says we can devastate, destroy, or decimate poverty by bringing more resources, more tools to the poorest Americans. This Bitcoin movement says the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so I see parallel tracks, and that's why I get really excited about what I get to do every single day. It's the fight for people who can't show up in Washington to fight for themselves. We work for people. We don't lead them first. We work for them first.
Yeah.
We're your servant, and I have to listen, and then I lead.
Well, I've got to say, I can't think of anyone better to lead the Senate Banking Committee and the Senate Finance Committee. Can we give a warm welcome to Senator Tim Scott?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll close.
Okay.
I'll close. Thank you all very much. I should have turned around. I had a 17-person standing ovation. I missed it. I'm sorry. Thank you, three right there. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much. Yes. So let me close with this. Since 2017,
I'm
there's
back.
been one
Sorry.
champion in the United States Senate
Had to take a call.
who made the decision after attending a conference that she wanted to champion the cause of individual freedom, individual liberty, individual decision-making. And you can live or die by your own choices, but it is not her responsibility to make them for you. It's her responsibility to set you free. Her name is Cynthia Lummis.
Woo!
Thank you.
Is that it?
Thank you.
No, that was so good. I wanted that to go on forever. Guys, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to turn noties on so you can catch us live for the next one. Make sure to join our Discord, link in the description. Make sure to thumbs up this video. Thank you so much. I'm probably live right now. Go check. Bye.
Hydro energy.
Okay, I'm going to pause the recording. Are we going straight to